Explained by the Billy Meier contacts. Mysteries, myths, legends, conspiracy theories, historical inaccuracies, and more. Compiled by David Chance, revised October 18, 2023.
Trojan horse, a Helen of Troy. Trojan horse, Helen of Troy. Contact Report 219.
There were 4 different Atlantices, so the new Atlantis beyond the Pillars of Hercules, between the Azores and Spain. Then there was the small Atlantis that existed in the Mediterranean Sea in the area of Santorini, and then Old Atlantis is to be mentioned, on which later, after its downfall, Troy was built, while Great Atlantis had its existence in the Atlantic.
Contact Report 496.
I still have a question about Troy, because there is still a lot of confusion. Your daughter Simyase once said that the Troy story with the beautiful Helen of Homer was a fiction. She said that Homer actually lived and wrote the Iliad, but that he told a lot of fibs, because the beautiful Helen did not exist, nor did a Greek army defeat Troy, which is not supposed to have been called that either. The Trojan horse, Simyase also said, was a fib from Homer.
What my daughter told you is true. First of all, the city that Homer made known as Troy, which is why we also call it Troy, has a completely different name, and in fact the city was actually called Melusia. The Greek army that defeated the city and finally bloodily conquered it was in reality an army of the Hittite Empire. So it was the Hittites who truly defeated and conquered the city, staging a merciless slaughter of human beings. But the city of Melusia was not conquered by the Hittites by building a Trojan horse, which Homer had fantasized about, and which was supposed to have been pulled into their city by the inhabitants of the city. In truth, after a long siege, the Hittites entered the city through an underground system of canals and through the very large city gate, raped women, men, and children, and then mercilessly slaughtered these and many other inhabitants. The whole thing was about a brutal act of war, in which no beautiful Helen played any role whatsoever, not even any Hellenic army.
Aha, so that was it, and Homer was an imaginative storyteller.
Orally transmitted stories of earlier events he mixed with fantastical embellishments that had nothing to do with reality and truth.
Contact Report 533.
Regarding the city of Melusia, respectively Troy, a passive member asks the question whether this name might be a spelling mistake, and therefore the real name is Wilusa. In some old treaty there is supposed to be talk of a King Alexandru of Wilusa, whereby Wilusa is to be equated with Troy.
The name Melusia was correct, and was in use long before the Hittites defeated and conquered the city, committing monstrous crimes against the inhabitants, also against women and children, who were then slaughtered downright. The name Melusia already existed in pre-Hittite times, namely in the 4th millennium BC, respectively before Emmanuel, when the then small town on the hill Hisarlik on the western Mediterranean coast of today's Turkey was founded. In the 13th century BC, respectively before Emmanuel, the town was generously expanded into a city, which also marked a new date of foundation. Then the city belonged to the Hittite Empire Wilusa, which was ruled by King Alexandru under the Hittite rule.